You feel that?
You know, I just feel like I need to lose some of these pounds, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm more fat and shit.
I think we're gonna have to be quiet.
Yeah, tell your wife what I did in here. Also kill yourself.
Wow.
Alright people, what's up everyone, and welcome to the second review for the month of Gorror 2018, and of course, we are continuing our Halloween review series with Halloween 2, which of course is the direct sequel to the original Halloween, and I mean direct. It follows exactly what happened right after the end of Halloween 1. The minute Halloween 1 ends, it continues. And I thought that was a really good idea when I was a kid. When I heard that, I was like, oh boy, I really need to watch that one now. And I rushed and got it from Blockbuster. I remember this. And I watched it, and I loved it when I was a kid. I really did love the second one. And since then, I haven't really watched it ever since. I think I watched a little bit of it on TV, but I definitely didn't watch it as much as I watched the original. I do remember as a kid, though, thinking the ending was awesome. I was like, oh, yes, that's awesome. So that's the only thing I really remembered about this movie. Didn't remember any of the kills, didn't remember the exact plot, so I was very excited to check this one out. And, well, I checked it out in glorious 1080p, because when I was a kid, it wasn't in 1080p. Nope. No, I was lucky if it was in 320p. So, how did it age? How did it fare now? Huh? Alright, I'll say this about Halloween 2. I liked it. I didn't really like it. I didn't love it. I didn't think it was great. I thought it was good enough, at least. As a direct continuation of the first Halloween, it is disappointing. There's no doubt about it, it is. Now, is there stuff to like about this one? Of course, but it is definitely more of a common Halloween movie, I guess you could say, because there's a lot of Halloween movies where it's just all about the body count, not the suspense. And this is definitely more closer to what Halloween became, I guess. This is the transition from 2 to 4, because the third one obviously is not Michael Myers. So it's a transition in a way to just a more of a body count horror movie, besides, you know, a really creepy slasher movie. The first one, it was all about stalking, to the point where you only see 3 on-screen deaths. In the first movie, there was 4 deaths and 3 on-screen ones. Here you have about a dozen on-screen deaths. Like, seriously, a dozen people die in this movie. One of them is inadvertently from the cops, and they get ran over and destroyed in one of the best scenes of the movie, and that is unintentionally one of the best scenes of the movie, I think. Now, the problem with Halloween 2, besides that it decided to be more of a slasher movie, like a common slasher movie, is that the direction is just not up to snuff. Like, the first movie had the great direction and amazing cinematography, and the cinematography is still there, but most of the movie takes place in a hospital, so you don't have really nice shots that feel very Halloween-y or very fall. You don't get the fall season as much as you did in the first movie. Here, it's kind of sterile when it comes to cinematography. Not that it's bad. There are some really good shots, especially of the town itself. There's some really great shots that look great. And Deacon Cundy comes back again, and he does a good job for what he has to do. There's some really awesome shots, too, in the hospital, where we see Michael Myers walking down a hallway, but we see it through security cameras and stuff. So there's creepy moments like that, where we see a character walk through one door, but we see in the security camera that person walking by the camera, but then you see in the background, you see Michael. I'm like, oh, that's creepy. And there's even creepy scenes of where we get the POV shot of Michael walking through the hallways of the hospital, and then we cut away from that to a couple of characters talking, and then in the background, it's not really, like, a very apparent. They don't make it a big deal. You just see them walking and open a door and go inside that room. And it's really well done. That stuff is good, but there's not enough of it. Where the first movie had a lot of those scenes where it's really creepy and really tense and very suspenseful. You see him in the background. You see him up front. We follow him everywhere. You don't get too many of that, those moments. But one thing I will say is that the beginning scene in this film, the first few minutes, is probably my favorite scene in the first 2 movies right now. Like, again, I haven't seen the other ones in a very long time, so we'll see if another scene in a potential future movie comes back and really, like, wins me over. But the beginning of this, where we follow Michael as he goes into a house, he picks up a knife, he goes into another house, kills one woman, and he's just walking, is great. It's really good and very disturbing. Like, he actually, there's one part where we follow him and he's about to get caught, and he just, like, kind of like dips into the shadows and just waits. It's really good. You know, we follow him, and it's not a POV shot, but it feels like it. It feels like we're in his eyes, even though we're behind him. It's really good. Really, really great filmmaking there. So I gotta give the director that. Rick Rosenthal directed this one. He did a good job with some scenes, but then there's other ones that feel so sterile. I mean, I know it's a hospital, but damn, this is so many shots of just like, there you go, stationary right there. Yep, even Dean Cundy was like, who cares, just you do it, Rick. It doesn't matter, just put the camera right there, I don't care. And it just felt too flat. It just did. And there's a lot of moments of just what I don't like in horror movies where they build up the kill, but like it goes on for so long. That's the stuff I really don't like in horror movies, when the kill is built up for what feels like 3 or 4 minutes, and there's this one fat security guard who goes around and like is trying to investigate what happened to the phone line in the hospital, and he goes into the warehouse shed or whatever, and he goes in and he's just like, what? He opens the door, something fell on him, jump scare. He closes the door, he opens another one, nothing in there. Guess what? When he's about to close that door, who's gonna be behind it? You'll never guess. And there's a lot of scenes like that in this one that really just left me going, like the first one didn't really have that stuff. And when it did, it was really creepy and well done and used music perfectly. Here they use the music, and there are some really good moments where they use the music, but there's other times where it's just so obvious. Like there's one part where Laurie is like stumbling in the parking lot, and you see a cutaway shot of just Michael there. He just pops up in the frame, and then the music gets loud, and she looks around, she goes, oh, and she runs. I was just like, come on, man. That's not how Michael would make his entrance in the first movie. It just feels weird that this is a direct sequel. Literally, the minute the first movie ends, this movie starts, and it just doesn't feel right. Now, that being said, like I said, the intro is so good that it really did tie into the first movie's ending very well. When he gets shot about 6 times, falls out the window, next scene in this one, he's just walking around. You're like, what the hell, man? He took 6 shots and he's just walking around killing people, not even bleeding. You're like, oh my god, he is just pure evil. So the beginning is great. So it actually does transition well into this movie. Like if you cut this movie with the first one, which I'm sure people have done, then it actually does a good job of transitioning. It just gets worse, you know? It's like, this is the high of the first one, and then we go like this, and like, oh my god, it's still good. Oh, where's it going? Oh my god, it's kind of mediocre now. It just stays mediocre until the ending, which I think is awesome. So it kind of goes back up here. Not quite as high. Like this is Halloween, and this is Halloween 2's ending. You know, it's almost there, but not quite. Another negative, and I know I'm harping on it a lot, and I'll get to some positives in a minute. Don't worry. Like I will. But I don't like that the movie doesn't really focus too much on Laurie Strode. Like, whenever she's in the movie, she's lying on a bed or she's cowering in a corner. And don't get me wrong, she had moments like that in the first one where she's cowering and stuff, but she fights back. And she does it a little bit towards the end. She fights back a little bit. For the most part, she's running and she's hiding in a car and she's hiding in her bed, or she's hiding in a corner. It's just not a lot of stuff for Jamie Lee Curtis to do. It must have been kind of easy to do the stuff she did in this one, because, I mean, the most she does, she climbs out of a window at one point and falls into some boxes. That's like the most she had to do. The first one felt like she was going through the shit, you know? Even though it's only about 10-15 minutes of running away from Michael, it felt like the whole movie. It really did, because you're on the edge of your seat like, oh my god, is she gonna be okay? Like, I like this character. This one, it feels like a good, like, 30-40 minutes is her just, like, running around. And I know it's not as long, but it feels like that, but not in a good way. You know? Not in a suspenseful way. More like in a, alright, come on, wrap it up way. You know, it's dragging out, you know? There's ways of making 10 minutes feel like 40 minutes, or the entire movie, in a good way. And that's what Halloween did with its ending. Here, it didn't do that. It just made it feel like, oh, it's the whole movie, but not in a good way. I don't know how to explain it. You know, it just dragged on. It really did. Now, I know it sounds like I'm harping on Halloween 2, but again, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I thought the death scenes, for the most part, even though some of them drag on, you know, and take too long to get to the death scenes, when they are executed, they're well done. There's some creepy moments. Michael's still a very imposing figure. The ending I loved, and the beginning I loved. Even though Laurie's not really in it too much, what little she does, Jamie Lee Curtis does a good job with it. Of course, Sam Loomis is still a great character, and Donald Pleasance does a great job of kind of wrapping that character up. Even though he does come back later on in the series, I do know that, which I don't know if that was needed, but we'll see. Again, I haven't watched the sequels in a very long time, so we'll see. And we have all these really good little moments in here, like the POV shot of him just walking through the hospital and stuff. Just slow moments that reminded me of the first one. It's just not as good as the first one, and that's a shame. I did like a lot of it, but I also didn't like quite a bit of it. So I would say this is like a 60% I liked, 40% I didn't like, and that I guess translates to, I would say, a 24 out of 40. I still enjoyed it. I still enjoyed it quite a bit, but I can't say I loved it because I really didn't. There were some moments that I'm just like, I don't know. I liked it. I just didn't love it. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I did. I had a fun time. I don't want to upset any Halloween fans because I love Halloween, the series. Even the later ones, there's some of them that I really enjoy. But I didn't love this one. I did like a lot of it, but I didn't love it. So 24 out of 40, which actually translates to a 6 out of 10. That's a 60% to a 40. So, you know, there you go. And yeah, there you go. I mean, I liked it, but it's just nowhere near as good as the first one to me. The first one is like the perfect, simple horror movie. You know, like simple, simplistic, perfectly executed, and it just does everything so well. Here we even start getting into the more like the backstory of Michael, and I will say that the whole backstory, which I guess I could spoil, everybody knows that Michael and Laurie are related and brother and sister. That stuff just in this movie felt so like, you know, tacked on. It really did. It just felt like they needed to put a twist in here, and it just didn't. I don't remember it being that tacked on when I was a kid, but I was also a kid, so I was just like, wee, I didn't care. But anyway, there you go. That is it. I gave it a 24 out of 40. Still a solid score. 6 out of 10. Good. That's above average. So I liked it. Anyway, there you go. Thank you, and until next time. Boo! Alright, bye.